All right, let's get right into it. We all watch football for the huge plays, the Super Bowl rings, right? But sometimes the moments that really stick with you, the ones you never forget, they have almost nothing to do with the final score. They're, they're about something way deeper, something more human.
Yeah, that's it right there. This isn't just about who crossed the goal line. It's about the real people, the real stories happening behind the scenes. We're going to explore those moments that just hit differently, the ones that grabbed a whole city or even the whole country and made us all feel the same powerful thing at the exact same time.
So, what are those moments? What are the plays and the stories that truly moved us? Well, we're counting them down. We're talking everything from just unimaginable tragedy to the purest, most out of nowhere joy. These are the 10 times the NFL, for better or for worse, made us all reach for the tissues. All right, let's kick this off. Coming in at number 10 is a story that's all about incredible strength when faced with just devastating loss. And it centers on one of the toughest quarterbacks to ever play the game, the legend himself, Brett Favre. I mean, just try to put yourself in his shoes for a second. It's the night before a massive Monday night football game, and he gets the call. His dad, the man who taught him how to throw a football, is gone, just like that. Most of us, we wouldn't even be thinking about a game. But Favre, he decided to play. And what he did that night, man, it was just legendary. Every single pass, every touchdown, you could feel the emotion pouring out of him. It was so much more than a football game. We were all watching a son pay tribute to his father in the only way he knew how, on the biggest stage possible. Okay. So coming in at number 9, this one is emotional for a totally different reason. This wasn't about strength, it was about shock. It was sudden, it was graphic, and it was a brutal, brutal reminder of how violent this game can be. We're talking about the play that ended Joe Theismann's career. Millions of people saw this happen live. One sack. That's all it took. And his leg it was a horrific injury. But what was truly haunting was the sound. Or the lack of it. The whole stadium just went dead silent. Players on both sidelines were looking away. You could just feel it through the screen. Everyone knew. His career was over, right there on that field. Just a raw, heartbreaking dose of reality. All right, for our next one, we're stepping outside the lines of the football field because this story is so much bigger than the game. It's about a man who made a choice that most of us can't even fathom, putting his country ahead of a superstar career. This is about Pat Tillman. So get this, Pat Tillman had a multi-million-dollar contract on the table. He was a star, but after 9/11, he walked away from all of it. All the money, all the fame, to join the Army Rangers. So when the news broke that he'd been killed in action, the sense of loss across the entire country, not just the NFL, was just immense. The tears and the tributes, they weren't for a safety who could hit hard. They were for an American hero. This was about a level of sacrifice and character that's truly rare. Coming in at number 7, this is one of those times where a single play in a football game meant everything to an entire city. It became a symbol of hope, of resilience, of rebirth. Of course, I'm talking about New Orleans, right after the absolute devastation of Hurricane Katrina. You have to picture the scene. The city was in ruins. The Superdome, their stadium, had been a symbol of desperation during the storm. Now here they were, back for their first home game. The feeling in the air was just electric, but tense. And then it happened. Just a few plays in, Steve Gleason comes flying off the edge and blocks a punt. Touchdown. That sound, that roar from the crowd, it wasn't just a cheer for 6 points. It was a scream. It was years of pain and frustration and hope all exploding in one moment. It was the sound of a city telling the world, we are still here. Just pure, beautiful catharsis. At number 6, we've got a different flavor of heartbreak. This isn't about a sudden tragedy. It's that slow, sad feeling you get watching a true great, a phenomenal talent, have to hang it up way, way too soon. We're talking about the one and only Megatron, Calvin Johnson. I mean, this guy was a freak of nature, an absolute cheat code at wide receiver. But playing like that, it comes at a cost. His body was just beat up. So when he retired early, it really brought that whole conversation about the physical toll of the game to the forefront. And the fans, they weren't angry. How could you be? They were just sad. It was this bittersweet feeling of watching one of the greats have to walk away because his body just couldn't take it anymore. A tough reminder of the price these guys pay to entertain us. Okay, let's switch gears from sad to just pure, unfiltered joy. At number 5, we have a moment that was all about celebrating years and years of hard work and excellence. This is when Drew Brees became the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards. But it wasn't just about the record itself. It's what happened right after he threw that pass. The game literally stopped. They paused an NFL game. His family, his kids, they all run out onto the field. And Drew Brees, this guy who's known for being one of the toughest competitors out there, is just weeping, openly crying with his kids, and you could see fans in the stands crying too. It was this perfect little bubble of pure joy and love in the middle of a violent football game. Just an absolutely beautiful moment. And just like that, we go from a moment of pure celebration to one of just profound, deep sorrow. At number 4, we have the tragic story of a life cut short, a player who was on his way to becoming an all-time great, Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor wasn't just good. He was different. A truly unique talent, a missile on the field. He was a superstar in the making, and his murder during a home invasion it rocked the entire league. The grief was palpable, and the way his team honored him says it all. Their very next game, on the first defensive snap, they only sent 10 guys out onto the field. They left his spot, the free safety position, completely empty. No words, no announcements, just a silent, powerful, and absolutely gut-wrenching tribute to the man they lost and the future that was stolen from him. Okay, buckle up, because number 3 is an absolute shot of adrenaline. It's an emotional roller coaster that goes from despair to pure ecstasy in about 5 seconds. It's one of the wildest, most unbelievable plays you will ever see. It is, of course, the Minneapolis Miracle. Let's just relive this insanity for a second. There are seconds left on the clock. It is the last play of the game. Case Keenum just throws up a prayer. Stephon Diggs leaps. He catches it. But then the defender completely misses the tackle, and Diggs somehow stays on his feet, stays in bounds, he turns, and there is nobody in front of him. The stadium goes from thinking game over to just pure, unadulterated chaos. The tears falling in that moment weren't sadness, they were shock. They were pure, euphoric joy. It was literally a miracle. How often does a legend get to ride off into the sunset on top? Almost never, right? Well, that's what our number 2 moment is all about. It's the perfect storybook ending that almost never happens in sports, let alone in life. It's Peyton Manning winning the Super Bowl in his very last game. Look, by that last season, Peyton was running on fumes. Physically, he just wasn't the same player. But mentally, he was still a genius, and he dragged that team through the playoffs. So watching him hoist that Lombardi trophy one last time, wow, it was emotional. It was a mix of everything, right? You're crying because you won, you're crying because you know it's the end of an era, and you're crying because you're realizing that all good things, even legendary careers, have to come to an end. And that brings us to number 1. And what's so interesting about this one is that it wasn't a play, it wasn't a game, it wasn't even a big ceremony. It was a quiet, early morning social media post that marked the end of, arguably, the greatest dynasty in the history of American sports. We're talking about the day Tom Brady left the New England Patriots. Just look at that timeline. 20 years, 2 decades. For an entire generation of fans, Tom Brady was the New England Patriots. He was the constant. He was part of the fabric of New England. And then one random Tuesday morning, you wake up, check your phone, and it's over. Done. No goodbye game, no press conference, just an Instagram post. For millions of people, it felt like a breakup. It was a seismic shock. The emotion wasn't about one thing. It was about the sudden, quiet, unbelievable end of a 20-year dynasty. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? When you look back at all these moments, the joy, the heartbreak, the shock, the inspiration, it reminds you that this sport is so much more than just a game. It mirrors life itself. And its real power, the reason we care so much, is because it makes us feel things so deeply. It really makes you think, as you're watching games this year, which moments are happening right now that we'll be talking about 10, 20 years from now? What are the stories being written today that will become the next generation's Minneapolis Miracle or end of an era? It's a cool thing to keep in mind next time you tune in.